Hi, Griff Wigley, Northfield.org, and I'm here with Fire Chief Tom Nelson, Bridge Square. It's an exciting Saturday morning, June 22nd. And Tom, 2010, you were here.
Yes.
What's the difference, do you think?
If you remember 2010, it was National Guard and command posts and craziness because none of us had ever experienced water to this height. And that's the blessing and curse with it this time is, we know where it's going to go from. I've been looking at your pictures from 2010 and others of us that were around here. So we know what the monster's doing and we know how far it's going to go. The predictions are good. And that gives me a little bit of, relax, like, okay, this is as bad as it's going to be if it stays with those predictions.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier.
So the fire center now, that was a big deal in 2010.
Yes,
what's different about what we have now?
What's interesting is the data still on the Weather Service where it lists historical heights. It says fire station underwater at
898 or something like that. Yeah.
And so since the remodel in 2018, the whole site was raised 6 feet or 7 feet, maybe more. And
so all the dirt around it?
The whole site, parking lot, and everything was raised up that high. Of course, the original building is still below grade, but when they redid it, all the electrical outlets, all the equipment and everything, there's nothing down on the floor. It's all up.
Okay.
So that even for some reason, if our pumps failed or whatever, we got water in, we would still be operating. We'd have a mess to clean up, but it wouldn't be wrecking any infrastructure.
Yeah, okay, that's a good deal.
The only thing, as we were talking before, is the city, to protect the water main that crosses on the 5th Street Bridge, once it gets to a certain level right below the girders, the water main that crosses the river, one of the many, is in between the beams of that. And so to protect that, the city has to shut the water off on the west and east side.
When did that happen?
That happened half hour ago.
Okay.
And so we knew it was coming, that if it gets to this point, Andrew Tussing said, then we have to shut that down. The only bad part is the service that feeds the fire station is in between those.
So that means drinking water and toilet flushing?
Toilet flushing.
Is out? No, none of that?
Right. The only thing is that we do have some spare water that we use for rinsing the trucks that we can use to fill toilets.
Okay, good to know.
But really, we knew this was coming. We have in the back of my Tahoe, I have a kit. So the one thing we want to make sure is we can fill trucks when we come back from a fire, usually non-emergent. So we fuel up at Quick Trip. So we're going to set up a hydrant and a fill station there so that if you need to fill, and then if you need to go to the bathroom, go home or go somewhere else.
I had a question about chain of command now, because you're fire chief of the Northfield Area Fire and Rescue Services. Unlike 14 years ago, you were assistant fire chief for Northfield.
City of Northfield. Yep.
So how does the chain of command work now between your department or your organization and the Northfield Police? And is the mayor still kind of emergency director?
Oh, that's a great question. On the ground or in the trenches, nothing has changed as far as our interaction, and the whole incident command system doesn't matter what name is on the back of what your organization is. This is right now, it is a utilities, City of Northfield utilities, and then law enforcement event in the streets and everything. It's not a fire event, so this is kind of no different than if fire were to respond to some kind of law enforcement event. Law enforcement would take the lead. I'm helping Mark Elliott because he had to be out of town this morning.
Chief of Police Mark Elliott?
Yep, Mark Elliott, Chief of Police. And so I'm in contact with him. And again, this is not a fast changing event.
Right.
And then I've talked to his sergeants that are on duty. So really, the chain of command is still the City of Northfield, and NAFRS as the Joint Powers Group that has the City of Northfield in it. We're right in there with it. And if it becomes, for some reason, a fire event, a gas main or something, it falls squarely on fire.
Okay, so what about a rescue situation? Say there was a photographer walking along the river's edge, balancing on, I don't know who that might be, but if that person falls in the river and somebody sees it, is that rescue?
Fire rescues, yep, that would be our incident.
Okay.
And again, we would bring in Rice County Sheriff, Water Patrol, Rice County Emergency Management, law enforcement. So usually those kind of events, we go into what's called Unified Command, where the
Unified Command.
Unified Command.
Okay.
Google it. It's interesting. Instead of one incident commander and then people, is that you say, what are the resources you need? Fire, EMS, law enforcement, utilities, and you have them all literally standing next to each other, and you are a unified incident commander.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, the only point I would make sure people, and I've said it to others, is the river is the river. It's like fire. When fire's over there, it can wreck some stuff, but it's the human interaction with fire and the human interaction with water in a flood situation is where there can be injuries and deaths. And so don't be dumb. Just like
you're telling me not to be dumb?
Because
you're just suggesting it.
Yes. If a fella or a person would just be smart and not do anything dumb or risky, because not only are you putting yourself at hazard, you're putting the rescuers at hazard.
Yeah, the rescue crew, don't want to do that.
Well, it was great to see your 2010 pictures. As I said to you offline, I'm probably about the same, but everything's shifted around a little bit.
In terms of dimensions,
yes.
Personal dimensions
Yes,
we're talking about.
correct.
Gotcha, okay. Tom, thanks so much, and maybe see you tomorrow.